determined that it would just be better to start over with new material. If it was less damaged, we would attempt to repair the original pieces. But this was so far gone that we determined that we would just reuse the mantlet casting and the casting for the ventilator and basically start over from scratch.
While the crew rebuilds their Panther, a mystery hangs over them. How did their Panther end up at the bottom of a river in Poland? The tank isn't talking, but it has left behind a kind of fingerprint. Stamped into the hull are serial numbers. They're still legible, which means German tank records might hold a clue. The military archives show Jacques' Panther was originally issued to the 16th Panzer Regiment in July 1944. 6 months later, the regiment was decimated on the Russian front. The records don't reveal how the Panther went down to defeat. But they do lead us to the Panther's original base in Bergen. Today, it's home to the ultra-modern Leopard 2. With its sloped front, advanced armor, and powerful gun, the Leopard is, in many ways, the modern descendant of the Panther. The Leopard's gun is made by the same company that built the Panther's gun. Firing 120mm rounds, the Leopard can knock out a target 2,5 miles away.
Ich glaube, dass der Kampfpanzer Leopard 2 zu Recht zu den besten Kampfpanzern der Welt gezählt wird, da vor allem der Mix zwischen Schutz, also der Panzerung, der Beweglichkeit, also der Mobilität insgesamt gesehen und der Feuerkraft einfach einzigartig ist.
The Leopard's gun is considered to be the best on the battlefield, and the American Army agrees. Former enemies now use the same German-made gun on their tanks. Modern tank crews take for granted that they can fire accurately on the move. The Panther could fire while in motion, but it probably wouldn't be able to hit its target. During the Second World War, American engineers tried to achieve gun stabilization with electric gyroscopes mounted in the turret. The German approach was completely different. They tried to stabilize the entire tank with a highly complex torsion bar suspension. This created 20 inches of suspension travel. In other words, a very smooth ride that was years ahead of its time.
I've seen film footage of Panthers in motion, both on the terrain and on a test track that has specific bumps. And you can see that the hull basically remains about level, and the suspension moves rapidly up and down, compensating for those bumps. The contemporaries, like a Sherman or a T-34, they have very limited suspension travel, and they are a very stiff, rough-riding vehicle. It's fairly fatiguing for the crew.
At Jacques' shop, it's time to start work on the Panther's 12-cylinder, 700-horsepower engine. Engines are Keith Bull's area of specialty.
Our Panther engine being sleeved, the cylinder walls are not cast into the block. They slip out. Okay. A sleeved engine is like a diesel engine. You take the sleeve out and you put a new sleeve in. Well, you can't buy a Maybach sleeve for a Panther engine, so we have to have it made.
Lightweight and powerful, Maybach engines were originally designed to power aircraft. This created serious problems for the Panther.
The engine and the engine block itself, it was really needlessly light and fragile versus what it could have been.
We have pictures of failures where they had connecting rod failures and they had head gasket problems because they had tried to keep the components, the weight of the components so light.
Early versions of the engine came with a serious design flaw.
The Panthers were always gasoline powered, and whenever you have gasoline, if the engine isn't tuned properly, if the ignition timing isn't right, it's possible to get what they call a stack fire or to spit through the carburetor. And the problem with gasoline is that it's also very explosive in confined areas, and that fire can very quickly move into the crew compartment.
The factory that built the Panther engine is gone, but the company remains. Today, MTU builds state-of-the-art engines for the German Army's Leopard 2 tanks. The Leopards thrive on MTU's 1,500 horsepower engines. Weighing over 61 tons, the Leopards can reach a road speed of 45 miles per hour. Unlike the Panther, they burn diesel, which gives greater mileage and is less combustible than gasoline. Michael Grodek is a senior technical director at MTU.
Our main challenges is always to get the most compact diesel engines which are achievable. If we make an engine or propulsion system much more compact, immediately the saved volume and weight will be used for additional equipment, maybe a bigger gun, maybe more fuel, maybe more ammunition, maybe a stronger armor protection to protect the tank against mines and things.